one of the most important recordings ever, you know. It's hard to predict such things. So, yeah. So what were your impressions of the take-home midterm? How did you feel about it? Did it feel lame? Did it feel valid? What adjective would you use? So
I thought it was consolidating, just as you said.
Good.
But it did take more time than I thought it would take, in my case, and that's very personal.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it was good. And I don't look back at it, because if I look back at it, I find typos and things like that. And I just sent it. And
I think as something to show other people what the course is about, it's sort of cool, you know, like there's got to be a few life lessons in amongst those pages, you know. It's like valuable stuff to be thinking about. So Khadija, we're just talking about the psychological reaction to the midterm. Did you like it, not like it? Was it what you expected? What did you think?
Okay, so overall it was nice, really. The other thing is I didn't expect that much of questions, to be honest. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to begin before Saturday. I had some lab work and, you know. And the other thing is because for some sessions, we don't have the PowerPoint slides. So I took lots of time to go back to the videos to, get some points and go to the, find informations. But it was really good. Like I was like working on that Saturday and Sunday. It wasn't like all over the weekend to work on it, but it was jumping back and forth with the kids and, some work to do here and there.
Yeah.
But overall, it was nice. And I was happy, really glad at the end that I did well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the performances were remarkably good. If you look at the ethics, now Dr. Van Manen has never taught in this course before, so he asked me how to grade, and I said it'd be preferable if he graded like 6 per question, total of 24. But if you wanted to do it out of 100%, that was also okay. So he did it 6 per question and gave all but one of you full marks, 24 out of 24, you know. Now, it's a good thing that didn't happen with all parts of the exam, or it seemed like, well, aren't there any differentiating factors? What's going on here? So in the main exam, it was worth 68 points. And I think the range was from 57 out of 68 to 65 out of 68. So that's a reasonable range, but still all those performances are, acceptable. They're quite okay, so, and yeah, the performances in the quantum biology were all quite good, but they weren't all identical. And he didn't give any of you, perfect scores. So, yeah, I was really pleased with how it ended up. It seemed like it sort of did what an ideal exam is supposed to be, which is not stress the students, but be a kind of high watermark for on that day, you sort of put your knowledge together, right? You aggregated it and created something from it. So that seemed valuable.
Because it doesn't have that much weight? I mean,
It's only 20% of the grade. Yeah, it's only 1/5 of the grade.
Yeah. So I was very relaxed.
Yeah. So
I have a few thoughts on the midterm. I don't know if you can, I was just putting away some dishes. So, so I found the exam to be pretty long, quite honestly. When I opened it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like 5 parts and there's so many questions. But honestly, when I started going through it and really like just sitting down, calming down a little bit, it did go pretty well. Like I found that it had a good sequence and you could honestly find a lot of the questions when you went back for the videos, when you went back through the notes and things like that. But it did take quite a while for me, as some of the other students have voiced, to find that material. And for me, I wouldn't say it was, well, it honestly was a little stressful just because I have 4 other classes as well. And then obviously other people are in labs and work and whatnot. And I think it was a little stressful too because the paper is due this Thursday as well. So it was a little bit of a time crunch in that respect, but the questions were all very fair and I'm excited to see what comes out of it.
yeah. Well, what I felt is like students have what everyone will say, and a kind of intrinsic value of what their time is worth, right? And so did preparation for the exam appropriately value your time? And I kind of felt that in the ethics part, it didn't, that having you simply define terms, you're capable of so much more than that, right? You could have worked through complicated ethical dilemmas and, talked about the pros and cons of various courses of action and stuff like that, right? And I think that would have seemed like a better use of your time than just testing whether you can define all these ethical terms and various ethical constructs, What did you feel about that? I'm kind of thinking that, okay, we've done this. This was what he wanted as the subject. But next time I would tell him that the students are capable of so much more in terms of creative synthesis and putting these together and stuff. And you really didn't test that. And isn't the day-to-day ethical challenges that we face, they're not somebody pops out from behind a corner and says, define something or other. That's not the ethical challenges. The ethical,
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think that for those questions, I actually did appreciate having to define it because it made me go back and remember and like look at the videos, remember what it meant. But I think maybe to take it a step further, the next question could be, okay, using one of these frameworks like deontological ethics, whatever, how would you approach X scenario? So take me one step further.
Yeah. So not necessarily getting rid of what is there, but adding another kind of real life component to it, right? That ethics in particular shouldn't be theoretical, right? Just a theory, right? That ethics is something that we face every day, every hour kind of thing. So it should be made more real life. It seems like. And Shauna's part, it is kind of different, and I like this. It's like being taught by a superhero, right? So she never has her grades done at the same time everybody else does, because she's out there fighting the good fight, fighting COVID and all sorts of other things on the front lines, and you wouldn't want her to finish grading your exam first, right? But yeah. So how did you feel about her part? Did you like that, or yeah, I think she is also more conscious of what you might approve or disapprove of. Like, she put in those little italicized things telling you what this question tests, or yeah, she had never done that before. And I think she didn't do that necessarily because she needed that to be there, but because she wanted you to have an idea of where this fits, you know, or what this question, where it's situated in the overall body of knowledge. I thought that was really cool. And, you know, it's like, where does the 900-pound gorilla sit anywhere he wants? You know, she can, we'll be very happy when her exams are graded, whenever it is, right? It doesn't have to be like today or tomorrow or whatever. Yeah. Speaking of which, let's go talk about the cutouts.
I have a comment about the Shawana exam.
Yeah,
that part. So for myself, I did that one, the last part. And I was like, okay, there is one more part. I will need to go back to the videos to get some information. But when I opened the test and read the questions, I was actually smiling all over when I was doing that, because I didn't need to go back to look any of the lecture parts. But on the other hand, it was really, you know, testing some skills, and it was something nice to see. But I liked it really.
Yeah. Good. No, I thought that you would like it, and I'm proud to have that flavor in the exam. Yeah. So the cutouts, it sort of depends upon the city that you're living in. So the place that does cutouts in Calgary, a big moving van is coming tomorrow, and the whole company is moving, and they won't be back up and operating until the 1st of December. So they were very worried about how quickly I wanted the cutouts, because the usual standard is 2 or 3 days after you approve the quote, and then they get the printing done, right? So I told them I thought you'd be perfectly happy if we had it sort of well before Christmas, right? So if we could have it like, I don't know, 14th, 15th December. And they were so relieved. Oh, well, yeah, certainly we can do that. Whereas banners here in town, they're going to do it 2 to 3 days after we approve the quote. So it'll be really quick. And so the test subjects, in a way, are Rebecca and Eduardo, because they're going first, right? So if something goes wrong with those cutouts, we'll be able to say, well, you know, geez, look at what you did with Eduardo and Rebecca. That was terrible. We want to make sure that never happens again, right? So the rest of you can benefit from what awful. I don't think anything awful will happen, actually. But anyway, so for the rest of you, if I don't already have your height, I need your height, because it's kind of funny. They love doing 64-inch cutouts, but you won't all look great in a 64-inch cutout. It's just not very realistic. But actually, for the women, the cutouts are slightly cheaper, because whatever fraction you are of 64 inches, they sort of cut the price down, because it's using less coroplast and so on. And wow. Yeah. So anyway, that's the deal. And I thought that it might be troubling for you if you thought that each cutout was expensive. Right? So it depends upon how you look at it. So if you're doing duplicates, like we are here in town, so Eduardo and Rebecca, we're getting 2 of each. If you use the thinnest coroplast and no backing, nothing to keep them standing up, then it's pretty cheap. It's $140 to $150 each, which is about half what I had paid for the previous cutouts. I thought, wow, so cheap. But actually that would be kind of like disposable, right? They're too thin, and then, they'd get banged around. And so having a stand so they can actually independently stand up, I think is totally good. So then the quantity discount is that it's $215 each. So I've paid up to $300 in the past. So that's a reasonable price. Anyway, I just thought you'd be interested in, can't it be made cheaper? People ask you that about your own cutout. You say, yeah, without any stand to keep it up. And if you use the thinnest possible material, then you can make it really, really cheap. So yeah. Anyway, so then there is the question of how many you want, right? So there could be up to 3. We haven't yet planned to make 3 of anybody, but so it could be 1, 2, or 3. And if there are 3, then the presumption is one set could be used in public spaces in AHS or the university, and that you'd sign that form and so on, allowing us to do that. So I'm completely neutral about how many you get and where they go. I think it should be up to you, right? I mean, that's what it seems to me. So any questions about it? Yes.
So if I were to, because I might want 3, because I think I want 1 for me. 1 is a Christmas gift for my parents.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna like it, but I would be okay with it.
They have to like it politically. They have to like it. It's so unique that parents not liking it makes them seem like very poorly behaved parents. They have to like it. Also, look at who planned this. It was planned by Ching and Rebecca, right? I mean, who can possibly complain about that kind of intellectual background for the project, right? So they can't complain anyway, even if they secretly don't like it. So yeah, you could have 3. Yeah.
So if I were to give the 3rd one pretty much to you, where is it going? Like, I understand you're putting it up.
It can go, I think that probably the most neutral thing is that it can go in the space where the actual photography was done. So the 4-car garage. And that way we don't need authorization for public viewing and that sort of thing. It's still private space, but if people say, well, did you ever have any real students, or you just pretending because you talked about getting these cutouts, but where are they? Show me some real cutouts that I could take them to the garage and say, see, here they are, Yeah. So anyway, that's my proposal. Yeah.
I was just wondering if I was gonna like walk into work and there's like a cutout of me. So
if you sign the form, then you would determine what public space it's in, right? It wouldn't be like anywhere. You don't want to be like scared out of your wits by encountering your own image in a dark alley somewhere in AHS or university space, right? So, yeah. Yeah, no, it's totally up to you. And how this benefits me is that this project that Ching and Rebecca came up with is so unique and kind of flabbergasting. What? Yeah, that it will attract attention, right? And it will make people talk about the course more, and so more people will get interested in the course, and yeah. So I think it obviously benefits the course in that way. It's a kind of unique way to promote the course while also helping you get good photography or mediocre photography or whatever you think you got. But anyway, yeah, photography. So now there's a chat message. I must always be careful to read the chat. I also found that some of the written questions could have more guidance and how long the answers were expected to be. Yeah. Yeah, I think that just going back to the exam for a moment, probably Shauna is the one of the four of us creating content for the exam who probably dislikes having to read more stuff than she has to read, right? So it would probably be beneficial all the way around if she would indicate how long the answers should be, or something like that. So we'll work on that next time. I honestly expected there to be more problems than there were in the take home. I thought I might get calls in the middle of the night from crying students, sort of testing emergencies, right? That could occur when you do something new. So anyway, luckily none of that happened. And the toughest thing was when Wi-Fi didn't work. So if that's your biggest problem, right, Wi-Fi not working, then that's a pretty benign life, right? It's the biggest thing you have to worry about. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. No, I thought it was, from my point of view, a lot better than I thought it would be. So the third issue for this Zoom call then is that I would like your help in finding students to take the course the next time. And this word of mouth cooperation of current students finding new students to take it seems to work particularly well, because some of our best and most dynamic students came to us that way. So anyway, I would appreciate it. Right now, there are 2 students signed up for the next term. So if you could beef that up by another 6 or so, that would be great. Yeah, and I would really appreciate it. Yeah. So, see, one of the my greatest fear was that in all the rearranging of things, that because of low enrollment, the course would get canceled. Now we have the opposite problem. Since I've asked the dean to teach in the course, I don't want her to teach the course in a semester where we only have 2 or 3 students, right? So I think 8, it looks like a very creditable number. It has heterogeneity in it, and we've got cultural diversity, everything now. So it'd be nice to keep that, because a lot of the things that we talk about benefit from those different perspectives, which is really hard to generate if you only have like 4 students. So anyway, I would encourage you to talk to your friends about the uniqueness of the course and how it's benefited you and your soul and anyway, your persona. All sorts of aspects of you have maybe benefited from the course. So yeah. So yeah, sorry.
Can I ask one quick question? What time is the paper due on Thursday?
Midnight, or I don't know, 11:59
Okay.
p.m. But you can, if you're the person presenting on Thursday, there's only one person presenting, but you can actually carry it in the room or whatever. You can send it at the time. You can send it at the time that you present if you want to. We're not doing it face to face, so you can't actually shove it at me. But yeah, anyway, yeah. Yeah, so it was kind of cool with the midterm take home being due at noon, that we started getting them. Like I received one on Saturday and quite a few on Sunday. It was such a nice thing, that actually, by the time noon rolled around or got close to noon, there were only 2 students that hadn't already submitted. So it was very comfortable from that point of view. Certainly there have been terms when we had kind of sort of iffy situations with some of the students where, 11:59 p.m. would come along and there'd still be like half of the papers that I didn't have and that sort of thing. So anyway, I have experienced that in the past, but it seems like probably that's not likely to occur. So tell me about delivery of the cutouts. So if you decide, for instance, that you only want one and that's for you, is it complicated figuring out how you might get it, or do you want to meet at the garage again, or you want it in university space here? What are your, are there things about that we should work out?
I just have 2 things to say. One is Taryn wrote on the chat, how would you like them delivered, the paper, the final paper, in PDF or Word format and through email, which is what I was thinking is going to happen?
Yeah, I think they should be emailed, and PDF's better just because it's harder to change and makes it seem more final, like you're really done. Yeah. So,
and the second one is about the delivery. I don't mind picking the cutout at your garage.
Yeah.
Because also I think I speculate that we may be headed towards a lockdown, and they're going to update us at 4:30, right? On that regard. So it's better not to risk it. I think the garage is good for me. So that's just me. I don't know other people how they would like it, but that's me.
Yeah. I find the 4 cutouts of you also good for the course in that they're so different, right? And they're kind of comical, some of them, and so on. So in that sense, your photography session probably benefited us a little bit more in that there are some really memorable images there that we printed, not because, you know, your evil twin is what we want people to always think of you. It's just cool, since there are the others, that the evil twin also exists, right? So yeah, anyway, that's the deal. So any other questions then?
I was just wondering in the chat, did you already put the cutout order in?
Yeah, but you have to realize that they're not, for the Calgary place that's making them, they're not going to do anything until December 1st. So I can make any changes that we want.
Okay, sure, thanks.
Yeah, so I mean, every day you can have a different theory about which one you want. And on the first day, stop everything. I want a different, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so there's still time to like adjust.
There's lots of time. I just thought I need to know that that place is really able to do this, that there are real people there working, you know, and so on. So I really had quite a nice conversation with the person in charge of ASAP signs in Calgary, and they confirmed that not only are they able to do this, but their operation is expanding, and their old location was kind of run down and in a very bad area of town, I say. So anyway, things are looking up for them. They're moving to better space and everything. So that's kind of, it also means you're not putting yourself at risk by going to see them as much as you would have been in the previous location. Yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way. And banners, I have a very long relationship with. What I'm about to say is so boring that you'll probably go right to sleep. But when I went to see Leonard Cohen in November 2005, the stated purpose was to bring him a giant birthday card, which Banners produced. And I have all sorts of pictures of me and Banners with the card and all that sort of thing. Yeah, so the relationship goes back 15 years at Banners. And yeah, so there.
I just have one final question, and that's about the topic of my essay. I never sent my topic to you. So is that like, will you deduct points for that? I just, yeah, okay.
No, we don't have any sort of gotcha rules like that. Like, if you don't comply with the exact format, then we automatically deduct 15%, no matter how good your paper is, putting it in a range where B+ is the best you can possibly get. No, we don't do that kind of thing. Remember that I like novelty, I like surprises. I told you when I like send you exemplar papers that you'll notice that they don't both follow the same format and so on. So yeah, I'm not a stickler for rules about things, and I don't think. Yeah.
I was looking into the outline of the course just to make sure that I was following the scoring basic guide.
Right.
And you know, it says between 3,000, 4,000 words, and there's the score. And then I read, and the topic should be decided by October 29th. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was close a month ago. So
yeah, no, don't worry. I think those rules or suggestions are particularly to protect the inferior student. We don't have any this term, but, you know, the really marginal student Like they can suffer so much from bad final performance because the course is so heavily weighted toward what you do at the end, right? If your preparation for your final paper and presentation is really, really deficient, then you could really go down in flames at the end, right? So that's what I wanted to prevent by requiring everybody to give me the topic beforehand. But within that give me the topic beforehand, there is still the opportunity for huge surprises. You know, I like the guy whose final project was to interview me, for instance, and yeah, there are all sorts of things like that. Yeah. So anyway, no, it's all good. Bring on novelty. Bring on some new question or some new attribute you contribute that no one has even come close to in the past 9 years of the course. That's fine, you know. So yeah.
I have
I
oh, sorry, just a quick question. Like in the outline, it also says for, or like over the due date, it would be 5 marks deducted. So is that applied this semester too?
Yeah, I guess.
As I am a little bit behind, I'm not sure if I'll
No,
be.
no. That's if I didn't already agree that you could turn in. I mean, I have a very soft heart. You might imagine. Oh, Dr. Solez, I can't possibly do it by Thursday. Could I possibly do it? Yeah. So anyway, no, the 5 points per day is if you've communicated nothing about any difficulty meeting the deadline, but you just don't meet the deadline. I don't hear from you, and you know, it's like you disappear, right?
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so if that happens, if you don't communicate anything and I don't hear from you for a week, it's like 5 points a day. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I was a bit worried about that too.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
It's a benign world in this course. It's a question about whether it's a benign world in general. It may be. I mean, you know, the Biden transition starting or some other indicators that maybe the world is in fact benign. But anyway, within this course, it certainly is. So that's one way to think about it. But if you, like we've had students who have just sort of coasted, haven't done anything, you know, and I have to protect the rest of us against the student who's just going to coast and not do anything, you know, and yeah. So, but that is more of a problem from the past, and it's interesting. A lot of those very poor performances occurred before we had the midterm, when we had no exams at all, when the course was really remarkably easy, because I thought that's what students like best, but it isn't, because you want a course that you can justify to your faculty advisor and other people that you talk to. You know, you don't want a course that's so incredibly easy and has nothing challenging. So yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of the deal there. Any other questions? Yeah.
So the only thing I'm a little worried about, first of all, I have like a thesis presentation tomorrow, so the paper is a little on the back burner right now. So I'm a little worried about getting it in on time, but I also ended up changing my topic slightly, mostly because I looked at like research into my topic, and it's really hard to like come up with anything concrete at all, since it's like artificial placentas. I don't even think we can do that. So I took it more in like a realm of like, this is what we already have and we might be able to build on it, but it's not quite as like exponential as my idea originally was, because I don't know if it's actually possible.
Yeah. Well, you know, like the maybe one of the most boring parts of regenerative medicine is the regenerative medicine created bladder, urinary bladder, right? But the funny thing about it is it's lumpy. It's not round and sort of symmetrical the way the normal bladder is. And so if you think about an artificial placenta somehow outside in the world and creating a kid, and I think that's sort of bad news if the usual roundedness is missing and it's got squared off corners and so on. So anyway, you end up creating a child with squared off corners where they shouldn't be and so on. It seems to me that's asking for trouble. So yeah. Anyway, it's just one thought of what the challenges would be. No, if any of you want to ask for having an extension of when the paper is due, that is possible to do that. It is true that
now, really.
What?
I said I may be asking for that now because I'm sure I wouldn't be fully done by Thursday.
Yeah. So when could you be done?
It wouldn't be ready before Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. Sunday's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So the aim is to have you get as much out of the course as possible, rather than to have you follow the rules better than anyone has followed the rules before. Following the rules better than anyone has ever followed the rules before is not a priority for me. So that's one way to look at it. And I think if you were trying to sort of just lead life as kind of fitting in, doing what other people do, you probably wouldn't have taken this course in the first place, right? Because it's something different, right? So I mean, that's kind of part of the philosophy of the course, that it is something different and benefits from that. So if your performance in the course is also something different, that's okay within certain bounds. But yeah, that can be accommodated. So I wanted you to think, I know some of you probably think that the midterm over the 4 days was kind of an unusual experience. But another unusual experience, almost mystical or religious or whatever I would say, that I frequently have recently is when a good student asks me to do a lot of recommendation stuff for them, like, recommendations for medical school and all this kind of stuff. And it isn't that it needs to take a long time, but it kind of should, right? It's not something I should just dash off. So, I spend some entire days of my life doing stuff like that. And it's kind of funny sometimes, the student right before the deadline will say, hey, did you remember that my recommendation is due today? And I feel like saying, you dummy, I've been working on your recommendation for the past 18 hours. What do you think I've been doing? But I don't actually say that. I say, yeah, I know. get it in on time. Yeah, so that's another sort of unusual experience. And it's getting more organized in that now, for instance, for the U of A, if you have a bunch of people that you're documenting activities with, it's one document that you get with all those names and so on. And then you do a separate component for each activity for each person. And it naturally makes you be fairer in your assessment that if you were dealing with each person on their own, right? You can imagine in your mind that the person is the world's best human and walks on water and all that stuff when you're working only on them. But when you have a combined document that has like 5 people who've done many different things with you, yeah, it just makes it intrinsically more fair and it's more satisfying. So anyway, that's kind of the opposite side of the student experience, but can also take kind of entire weekends and stuff like that. Because why not? Right? I mean, if these students are worth spending time with in the course, then why shouldn't it be also worth spending time getting them into the next phase of their education? You know, it obviously is. That's a valid use of time. Anyway, just a little philosophy. Okay, any other questions you had about any of these things? Okay, so just talking about, so everything from now on is not standard, right? So the next time we get together is on Thursday, when only one of you is presenting, right? And so there's one presentation will take like 30 or 40 minutes. And then that's all we have on Thursday. So then the next Tuesday and the next Thursday, we have like 3 or 4 people presenting. And also on Tuesday the 1st at 9 in the morning, Dr. Ramachandran, who has an unusual relationship to me, that the BAMF classification, which I created 29.5 years ago, you can think of its impact on the world, right? And so he's created probably the best graphic for the network of people writing about the BAMF classification. And I composed a poem back in 2015 about an automatically updating book that would, you know, keep updating itself as the data updated. So one of the things that he's going to talk about is whether that was pure fantasy or whether you're approaching a time when there could be such books that are based on quantitative data. And every time you pick up the book, it's been updated, right? And it's right up to the current moment. And is that possible? So that's what he will talk about. That will then be the last non-student teaching session. And then everything else in the 1st and the 3rd is you guys presenting. And then that is the end of the course. Yeah. So anyway, that's how it goes. You may know that my middle son, Kevin, is also a person who does a lot of teaching. He has been a professor of classics at Grant McEwen, and recently he became a professor at Memorial University in St. John's, but he's still physically here. So he's teaching there while being physically here. And sometimes, like, he and I are both grading papers at the same time, which is kind of cool at this season of the year. So anyway, it's another thing you may or may not have been interested to know. Okay, any other burning questions or things you would like to use this opportunity to discuss? Okay, we'll see if you can find other people as cool as you are to take the course next term, eh? And yeah, that would be great. Okay, well, thank you for taking part today. I guess the more quickly you provide the details on your height and how many cutouts you want and stuff, the more quickly we will proceed to do the rest of them. Then, for those of you who have not already provided the information. Okay, any other questions? All right. I will see you on Thursday. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. See you.